Hello everyone. So in today's lecture, we will study about the forward chaining and backward chaining and also about the inference engine. So as you know that guys, the forward chaining method and backward chaining method are basically came from inference engine. So that's why first we understand about the inference engine and then we will learn about the forward chaining and backward chaining. So after learning this chapter, you will properly understand about what is inference engine and what are the importance of inference engine in artificial intelligence and how the both technique, that is forward chaining and backward chaining, are used in the inference engine. So let's start from the inference engine. What is engine and what are the use of this technique? So, in artificial intelligence, forward and backward chaining is one of the most important topic. But before understanding forward chaining, let's we understand the term inference engine and all the related clause related to the inference engine. So, guys, the inference engine is the component of a intelligent system in artificial intelligence which applies logical rule to the knowledge base to infer new information from known facts. So the first inference engine was part of the export system, and inference engine commonly proceed in two mode. First are forward chaining, and second was backward chaining. So before learning forward chaining and backward chaining, first we understand some related terminology to the backward chaining and forward chaining. First terminology is horn clause and definite clause. So horn clause and definite clause are the form of sentence which enable knowledge base to use more restricted and efficient inference algorithm. So, logical inference algorithm use forward and backward chaining approaches, which require knowledge base in the form of first order definite clause. Okay. Now the point is, what is definite clause? A clause which is a disjunction of literals, which with exactly one positive literals is known as definite clause or strict horn clause. And what is horn clause? So a clause which is disjunction of literal with at most one positive literals is known as horn clause. So hence all the definite clause are a horn clause. Okay. So all the definite clause are horn clause. For example, a not P or not Q or K, it has only one positive literal, so it is equivalent to P or Q implies K, right? P and Q implies K, right? It is equivalent to this. So now let's understand what is forward chaining, right? Let's understand what is forward chaining. So guys, forward chaining is also known as forward deduction or forward reasoning method when using an inference engine, and forward chaining is the form of reasoning which state within or atomic sentence in the knowledge base, and it applies inference rule, that is modus ponens, in the forward direction to extract to extract more data until a goal is reached. So the forward chaining algorithm start from known fact, that is trigger or triggers all rule whose premises are satisfied, and add their conclusion to the known facts. So this process repeats until the problem is solved. So the point is, what are the properties of forward chaining? It is a down up approach. It is a down up approach, and as it moves from bottom to top, so that's why it is known as down up approach. And it is a process of making a conclusion based or a known fact or a data. by starting from the initial state and reaches the goal state. Next is next property is forward chaining. Forward chaining approach is also called as data driven, as we reach to the goal node using available data. Next property of the forward chaining is forward chaining approach is commonly used in the export system such as clips, business and production rule system. So consider the some following famous example which we will use in both approaches. Okay, consider the following example which we will use in both approaches. The example, see, this is the example. So what is the example? Example said that as per the law, it is a crime for an American to sell weapon to holistic nation. Country A, country A, an enemy of America, had some missile, and all the missile were sold to all the missiles sold to by Robert, who is an American citizen. Okay, so now the this is an example, and here we have to prove that Robert is a criminal, because in the first line, in the first statement, it is said that as per the law, it is a crime for an American to sell weapon. And as we know that country A is enemy of America, and Robert who sell all the missile and all the missile to that country, and Robert is American. So we have to prove that Robert is criminal. So to solve this to solve this problem, first we will convert all the facts into first order definite clause, and then we will use forward chaining algorithm to reach the goal. Okay, so guys, it is a crime for an American to sell weapon to to host sorry hostile nation. That let's say PQR are variable. So if P is an American and Q is a weapon, and P will be sold by P, that is P is American. If American people sell any Q weapon to any um, hostile country, or hostile city, okay, or hostile nation, okay. So and R is a hostile, okay. So then it implies to that the P will be criminal. So country A has some missile, okay, country A has some missile that will be written like that, question mark P, and its own A comma P means definitely A country own the P missiles. And it can be written in two definite clause by using existential identification, okay, by using a existential instantiation. So okay, so all the missile were sold to the country A by Robert. So missile P and own A comma P is true, then it implies to that cell Robert P comma A. Okay, then next we consider that missiles are weapon. Okay, if P is a missile, then it is a weapon. Then next we consider that enemy of America is known as hostile. So if if P is an American, then definitely P is a hostile. Okay. Next, country A is an enemy of America. Then definitely we can write this enemy in which we pass A comma America. Next, Robert is an American. So for that, we write American, in which we pass Robert. So by using a forward chaining proof, okay, by using a forward chaining proof, uh, we have to follow some steps, right? So in the first step, we will start with the known facts, and we'll choose the sentence. We'll choose the sentence which do not have a implication, such as American, that is Robert, enemy A comma America, and owns and missiles. So these predicate we choose, because in which no such implication are present. So all these facts will be represented as this. Okay, as you can see here in the step one, we saw this or we saw this predicate in this form. Now next, in step two, at the second step, we will see these facts which inform from, okay, in the second step, we will see those facts which infer from available facts and with satisfied premises. So rule 1 does not satisfy premises, so it will not be added in the first first infraction. Okay, so rule 2 and 3 are already added. Okay, rule 2 and rule 3 are already added. Next, rule 4 satisfy with the substitution p slash t1. So cell robot t1 comma a is added, which infer from the conjunction of rule 2 and 3. Next is rule 6 is satisfied with the substitution p slash a. So hostile a is added, and which infer from rule 7. Okay, so as you can see, guys, you can see here in the diagram how we can apply all these rules on this. Okay, now now just come to the next step, that is step 3. Okay, so step 3, we can check rule 1 to satisfy with the substitution p slash robot comma q slash t1 and r slash a. So we can add criminal robot which infer all the available facts, and hence we reach uh, our goal statement, right? So you can see, guys, how we reach on how we reach from bottom to top. Okay, so hence it is proved that robot is a criminal using forward chaining approach, right? So it is a proof that robot is a criminal. Not on a end operator, right, means definitely if we are using an AND operator, then two proposition are needed. So the result of p and q, if we negate, then same value is same value will you will found if you firstly negate the p and negate the q, and then on that negation you will apply the or. Okay, so this is a De Morgan's law. Okay, so LHS, if you make a LHS truth table and RHS truth table, they both are actually equivalent to each other. So this is the De Morgan's law. Okay, again in the second case, it applies the not condition on the result of p or q, p or q. So this is same result you will found uh, if you and the negation p and negation q. So both the LHS and RHS truth table are same to each other. So guys, I am giving you a one uh, homework to you. So for each properties, as you know, that commutative, associative, identity, distributive, uh, just make a truth table of each side, means LHS side and RHS side. Okay, just make a truth table for each and every of properties. Okay, then you will understand properly about the properties of operators. Next property is double negation elimination. So means if you apply negation on any negated proposition, then you will find a non-negated propositions. Means if you apply negation on the negation p, then you will found the value of p. Okay, so this is a properties on this is known as a double negation eliminations. Means if you apply negation on negation, then it remove the actually negation effect. Okay, it remove the negation effect. Next one is a guys. Next one is a limitation of propositional logic. So if we can't represent relation like all, some, or none with propositional logic. For example, um, we cannot represent actually relation like all, some, or none with a propositional logic. For example, all the girls are intelligent. So guys, you cannot write this sentence in the form of proposition logic. Okay, another example is some apples are sweet. So again, for this sentence you cannot write a proposition logic. So uh, all the sentence in an English sentence, all the English sentence which actually contain all, some, none. Okay, these kind of word are actually contain of any propositional statement in an English sentence, then you cannot write propositional logic for that English sentence. Okay. Next limitation is propositional logic has a limited expressive power. And another limitation is in a propositional logic we cannot describe statement in term of their properties or logical relationship. Okay, properties or a logical relationship. Our next topic is inference rule terminology. So firstly, understand what is inference rule. Okay, first understand what is inference rule, and after that we will learn about the terminology. So first, what is inference? So in artificial intelligence, we need intelligent computer, right? So which can create a new logic from all old logic by evidence. So generating the conclusion from evidence and facts is termed as a inference. Okay, term as a inference. So what is inference rule? So inference rule are the templates for inference rules are the template for generating valid arguments. Okay, generating valid arguments, or you can say inference rule are uh, uh, applied to derive proofs in artificial intelligence. And the proofs is a sequence of conclusion that lead to the desired goal. So in our inference rule, the implication among all the connectives play an important role. Okay, all the connectives play an important role. So following are some terminology related to inference rule. Following are some terminology related to inference rule. First terminology is implication, second is converse, and third is contrapositive, and then inverse. So these are some terminology uh, which are actually used. Okay. So first understand what is implications. Okay, so implication is a one of the implication is one of the logical connectives which can be represented as a P implies Q. So it is a Boolean expression. Okay, it is a Boolean expression, and it converts and what is converse? The converse of implication, which means that right hand side proposition goes to left hand side and vice versa. So it can be written as a Q implies B. Okay. um, Next one is a contrapositive. The negation of converse is termed as a contrapositive, and it can be represented as not Q implies not P. Okay, not Q implies not P. And next one is inverse. So negation of implication is called inverse. Inverse in the and it is represented as negation of P implies negation of Q. So for this all four terminology, I am showing here the truth table for that. Okay, so here I am taking two proposition, that is P and Q, and see, for the third column I am showing an implication. In the fourth column I am showing a converse, and the third column contra fifth column contrapositive, and sixth column is a inverse. So first, what is implication? Okay, so it show that P implies Q. So for that, in the third column, we actually apply the implication rule, that is if and then rule. So same for that, we already understand the implication rule means it give the result false only if the if condition is true, and then condition is false. So only in the second row it give a value false, because the value of P is true, but Q value is false. So in that case, it give a only false value, and other than that, it will be true. Okay, next one is a converse. Okay, so in converse, again, just took a value of Q first, and then a value of P, then after that value of P. So in the first case both value are true, so obviously value is true, result value is true. In the second case, the value of Q is false, and value of P is true. So if value of Q is true means first, if condition is false, then we didn't check the value of then condition. Okay, it whatever it is, whatever the then condition, in that case, um, the result will be true. So if condition is false, then obviously it will give a true value. So the second row give a true value. Now again the third row, Q value is true, but P value is false. So if condition is true, but then condition is false, so only in that condition it return the value false. So in a third row I am writing a false value, and again both are false, then in that case obviously true value are resulted. So do you understand the converts? Okay, now next is contrapositive, right? Contrapositive means contrapositive is negation of converse. So negation of converse in term as a is term as a contrapositive. So means negation of Q implies negation of P. So first we actually negate the value of Q. So in a first case, value of Q is true, so for this condition we took false, right? So obviously first condition is false, so the second condition we are not checking, means then condition we are not checking. So obviously here I'm writing a true. Okay, now again second condition, firstly in the second column you know that the second row, the value of Q is written as a F. If we apply a negation operation, then definitely value become a true. So if condition is true, now we have to check about the p, as p value is written as a true, so not p, negation of p is false. So in that case, first premises mean if condition is true but then condition is false, so in that case obviously it give a false value. So that's why in the second column of contrapositive it is written as a false. Now again, for the third case, q is false, q is true, so definitely not q, negation of q is a false. So if condition is false, we are not checking the second condition. So same like that, we put here as a true. Now in the fourth column, now in the fourth row, q value is false and p value is also false. So negation of q is also true, negation of p is also true. If both are true, then obviously it result the value true. Okay. Now for the inverse, what happen if negation of implication is called inverse, means not p implies not q, is called inverse. Okay, excuse me. Okay. So uh, here I am taking a value of p and q first. So p value is true and q value is true. So if we negate both of them, then obviously first value for p value is false and q value is also false. So if condition is false, we don't need to check about the then condition. We directly write the result true. Okay. Now again second condition. Okay, the value of p is again false because the value of negation p is false because value of p is true, right? So again, if condition is false, then we need not to check about the uh, then condition. So I am writing a true. Okay, directly I am writing a true. Now in this third case, negation of p is true and negation of q is false. Okay, negation of q is false. Okay, remember that I'm talking about the negation of p and negation q in the third row. Okay, so the value of p is false and value of q is true. So obviously negation of p is true and negation of q is false. So false, first value is true, but second means if condition is true, but then condition is false. So in that case, obviously it result the false. Now in the again next condition, if we apply negation on p and negation on q, so we will get a result true true for the fourth condition. So if both are true, obviously result will be true. So guys, if you check that, the inverse and converse both are equivalent to each other, and implication and contrapositive, these both are equivalent to each other, right? These both are equivalent to each other. So guys, actually, a rule of inference, or you can say that inference rule or transformation rule, okay, in a logical forms, it actually consisting a function which takes premises and analyze their syntax and return the conclusion. So for example, a rule of inference called some rule of inference are there are so many rule of inference. So let's understand how many types of rule of inference are present. Okay, so these are the rules of these are the types of rule of inference. First type is modus ponens, second type is modus tollens, third is hypothetical syllogism, and the fourth is disjunctive syllogism, and fifth is addition, sixth is simplification, and seventh is resolution. Okay, so first understand what is modus ponens. Okay, So guys, the modus ponens rule is one of the most important rule in inference. Okay, in inference, and it states that if P and P implies Q is true, then we can infer that Q will be true. Means if P is true, okay, the value of P is true, and P implies Q is true, then we can say that Q will be also true. Okay, so it can be represented as the notation. You can see here the notation of modus ponens is written like that. P implies Q, and P implies Q, and also P, then in that case Q will be true. Okay, for example, if I am sleepy, okay, if I am sleepy, then I go to bed. So for that, I am writing a implication rule that P implies Q. Means for P I am writing I am sleepy. For Q, one statement is if I am sleepy, then I go to bed. Okay, and in which Q statement 2 that I am sleepy. Okay, so what conclusion will be we found, then means I go to bed. Means a one statement is given that if I am sleepy, then I will go to bed, and second statement say that I am sleepy, then obviously you will go to the bed. Okay, so hence we can say that if P implies true and Q is true, then in that case Q will be true. So so guys, it can be proved by creating a truth table. So guys, see, in a truth table, I'm taking a two value of two proposition, that is P and Q, and so for that we apply the proposition rule, right? Sorry, implication rule. So in the first condition both are false, then what happened? P implies Q. In the first condition, sorry guys, see, in the first condition there is a one mistake in this. For the implication rule, in the first column it should be a value 1 in the first column. It should be a value 1, but guys, see, for the modus ponens, it give the result false, because in which P is not true, right? P is not true. So for the result of modus ponens, it is written here, 0. Okay, so here you cannot write P implies Q. Here you have to write P implies Q and P. Okay, only in that case you will have a value 0. Okay, again for the same, P implies Q will give P implies Q give a one, value result 1, and the value of P is 0, so obviously it will be 0. So let it be. Now in the second case, P is true and Q is 0, false, right? So if we are talking about the implication rule, definitely it will give a value. If it will give a value uh, false, right? And here uh, the value of P is true. So true and false, obviously it will give a value false. So let it be. So guys, both are true, right? If both are true, then implication after implication after implication apply, then obviously result will be true. And also see, the value of P is also true, then you check that the conclusion, that is Q, is also true, right? Means the value of P implies Q, and here I am taking and as a conjunction. Okay, conjunction with P. Okay, the result of P implication Q conjunct with the P. Okay, so if they give a value true, so definitely the conclusion means conclusion what given that, then in that case q will be also true. So see guys, in the truth table it shows that p implication q is obviously true because both value are true, and the value of p is also true. If we and the if we conjunct the true and true, then definitely result will be true. So in that case we see that the value of q is also true. Okay. Next is modus tollens. Okay, the modus tollens rule state that if P implies Q is true and not Q is true, then not P also true. Okay, so modus tollens show that. So modus tollens what's state that if P implies Q is true and not Q is true, then not P is also true. So it can be written as a P implies Q, P implies Q, and not Q. Okay, and not Q. Okay, so the conclusion will be definitely a not P. So I'm taking an example. Statement one say that if I am sleepy, then I go to bed. Okay, this so that P implies Q. Now, statement two that say that I am not go to bed. Then obviously, what conclusion will be infer that it infer that I am not sleepy, because we in a first statement we say that I am sleepy, then I go to bed. Okay, then in second statement I am not go to bed, obviously then it means it's infer that I am not sleepy. Okay, so just take a I'm proofing with that by using a truth table. So guys, firstly I have to prepare the truth table for uh, P implies Q. So guys, P implies Q, um, obviously both are zero, then in that case result will be one. First condition P is false and second condition Q is a true, then obviously true, but P is true and Q is false, so in that case P implies Q is zero, and again for true it's true. So guys see, now I am actually ending with not Q. Okay, not Q, and if the result will be true, so in that case not P is also true. Okay, so guys in the see column number 4 and column number 5 I am ending. Okay, means I am applying a conjunction rule. So first, in the first case both are true, right? So obviously result will be true. So see guys, result will be true, and in that case we see that the not P value is also true. Not P value is also true. Now again for the second case, not Q is false, and P implies Q is 1. So obviously after applying the conjunction rule, it give a result 0, a result false, right? So we need not to check about the not P, what is not P and all that, because statement is only says that if P implies Q and means conjunction not Q will result the true, then in that case not P is true. So guys, let it be. Now in the third case P implies Q is value 0 and not Q is 1, so obviously result will be 0, so let it be. Again for P implies Q is 1 and not Q is 0, so let it be because result is 0. So right, it proved that by using a modus tollens that if P implies Q is true and not Q is true, then in that case it infer that not P is also true. Okay. Next one is hypothetical syllogism. So the hypothetical syllogism rule state that if P implies R is a true, R is true whenever P implies Q is true, and Q implies R is true, then it can be represented as the following notation. Okay, following notation. So following notation. So, for example, if you have my home key, for example, if you have my home key, okay, then you can unlock my home. Means it shows that P implies Q. Statements Q say that if you cannot unlock my home, then you cannot take my money. Okay. It the statement shows that Q implies R. Okay. Statement 2 shows that Q implies R. So if we reach to the conclusion, then if you have my home key, then you can take my money. Okay. Only in that, if you don't have if you don't have my key, then you cannot take my money, right? So by using a truth table, I am proving this. So guys, I am taking here three proposition P, Q, and R. Okay. So first of all, we firstly calculate. We firstly make a truth value for P implies Q, and then Q implies R, and uh, then check that if both value only if these both value are true, then only in that case P implies R are true. So guys, see, in the value of the value of fourth and fifth column, the first row, both value are true, and also the result are true, right? So second value, both in the second row, both value are true, so result will be true, right? In the third, both value are not true, so let it be. In the fourth row, both value are true, so result are also true. Again for fifth row, both are not true. Sixth row, both are not true. Seventh row, both are not true. Again in eighth row, both value are true, so result will be also true. Means by using a truth table, we show that if P implies Q is true and Q implies R are true, then in that case P implies R are also true. Okay. Next one is disjunction. Disjunction syllogism. So in in this rule state that if P or Q is true and not P is true, then Q will be true. So it will be represented as P or Q and P or Q and not P. Okay. So I'm taking an example. Today is Sunday or Monday. So it can be written as a P or Q. Okay. Today is Sunday or Monday. And statement 2 that today is not Sunday means it is not P. So what conclusion we reach that today is Monday. Okay. So by using a truth table, we show that the firstly we calculate that the P or Q. So so in that case, we check that the value. We check that uh, we apply a conjunction rule on not P and the result of P or Q. So guys, in the first case, obviously result will be 0. So let it be. In the second case, result will be 0. Result will be true, and we see that the value of Q is also true, right? Again for the third row, result will be 0. So let it be. And in the fourth case, result will be 0. So let it be, right? Next one is the addition. Okay, so in addition rule, the addition rule is one of the common inference rule, and it states that if P is true, then if P is true, then um, if P is true, then P or Q will be true. Okay, if P is true, then P or Q will be true. So we are taking an example. If I have a vanilla ice cream, that is P. Okay, and statement 2 say that I have a chocolate ice cream. Okay, so conclusion is I have vanilla or chocolate ice cream. So by using a truth table, it shows that firstly it calculates the P or Q value, right? P or Q value. So only in two condition, it shows the result true. That if P is true, see guys, if P is true, then P or Q is also true. and also see that if P is true, then uh, the value of P or Q is also true. Next one is simplification. Okay, so simplification rule state that if P and Q is true, then Q or P will also be true. It can be represented as in the notion of simplification rule is written like that. So for that, P and Q we firstly calculate through the P and Q proposition. So only one case it shows that the result, see that if both value if P and Q are only true if P or Q are true. Okay. Next one is resolution. Okay, so the resolution state that if P or Q and not P and R are true, then Q or R will also be true. So it can be represented as. So guys, firstly you need to make a truth table for that, and only in three case it give a result to you, right? Give a result to you. So guys, so in the today's lecture we will learn about this. Okay, we will learn about the all the inference rule and all the things. Okay, so here is your homework, uh, which you have to done after learning this lesson. Okay. So guys, just go through this book, Artificial Intelligence, which is written by Rich and Knight, in which there are so many more examples are given. You can just prove them through the uh, by using the truth table, or there are so many sentences are written there. So just go and learn from this book. Okay.